And catching your, or those words, like that was crazy. Yes, I used to do it when we first started council, Robin had the idea that we would take
All right, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Our mayor could not be with us this evening, so I'll be y'all's host. Please forgive me, I'm a little under the weather. So just kind of bear with me. I may be out of breath a couple times. Hold on. All right. Call to order. All members are here. Next, I'd like to have a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance. So if everybody can please stand. And also please silence your phones if you haven't already done so. Let's skip that part. Now we have a roll call for members. All members are here other than the mayor. Additions to the agenda. Dr. Sullivan.
I would like to add an item to the agenda.
Myself.
Yeah, it is. Can you not hear me? I'd like to add an item to the agenda. I'm assuming under new business, to discuss the staff holiday for Christmas week.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Dr. Sullivan, would you like to propose a?
I'll do that when we
That's
do it. Yeah.
Sorry.
This is just to get it on.
Understood.
the agenda.
All right, do a roll call vote. Rick, Vicky,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right. Approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we do consensus vote on this. All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Nothing on the consent agenda. Council member liaison and commission reports. Dr. Sullivan, could you start that, please?
Sure. So tomorrow is the last day of the second quarter at our school system. And the kids will be starting Friday and they'll be in through January 6th. Staff has a work day on Friday and on Monday the 6th, so they'll have to stay a day longer and come back a day earlier. But everything is going well at the school. Lots of good things going on over there, so looking forward to the spring season.
Ms. Brown?
Nothing really to report. Thank you obviously to the rescue squad, the fire department, the police department for all of the Santa runs that we've done. Santa has been really busy in this town this year. So thank you for our first responders for all of that. Thank you to all of the town members that have contributed toys to everybody. I think CB kids are getting really lucky this year from all the piles everywhere. So thank you, and thank you to Neighbor to Neighbor. Thank you to Cher Lee, all those people. Merry Christmas, and it really has been a pleasure working with all of you and serving the town. Thanks.
Mr. Wood?
And by the way, back at you, Ms. Brown, been a pleasure working with you and Dr. Sullivan and Vicky Rose. It's been, pardon me, Kenny's already given you what he's got. It's been pretty much maintenance week as far as public works, the normal catch-up sort of things. We will be discussing, once we get to the agenda item on days off, trash collection times and so forth and so on, because we want to be able to dispose of our Christmas leftovers. And we'll be talking about that in a little more fulsome detail, but it's that's pretty much it, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Just a few updates. The planning commission had their meeting on the 12th. They had committee reports. The economic development committee noted changes in average traveler demographics in town. And also they noted that people wanted more to do in town, such as adventure sports, for example. They also had a presentation of the draft resiliency plan that was presented to the planning commission, and a few things to note. They incorporated public comments. There's been a lot of comments from the public. And one thing I'll note that they added to the plan that wasn't there before was the North Beach. If anybody had attended the meetings, they probably remember that we had 3 items on the projects list, things that we could start relatively quickly and apply for grants. And the North Beach wasn't on there, and they added that. So that's the end of Virginia Avenue, down near the boardwalk there. One major deficiency that they noted was that the town does not currently have a spatial data inventory. And that I guess it was implied, or at least they thought that the town had one of those before they started their resiliency plans and investigations. So it really set them back significantly from what they said, and they really feel like we should have one of those. So something for future councils to address. They will have the final draft in January for council. I think they were going to try to do it this month, but it just didn't happen. They talked about their work plan. There's 3 top priorities that I think they're going to be looking at for next year: the floor area ratio, parking, and also the CIP. They had a discussion on the CIP, and it was actually, the draft was already presented to them, so we're way ahead of the game since we just passed the last CIP last meeting. So we're way ahead of the game this year, and hopefully that'll set us on the right trajectory. They set their hearing for January 9th, so they're already going to have a draft presentation to the public, and public can come and comment. Public Works gave a briefing on items that they had on the CIP, and so that they were there. Chris Rudke, and then also the police chief was there, and he brought up that he needed a couple of new police vehicles. I think we have a turnover of a couple a year. I will note that a couple of things I noticed, that it was more concise. There were things removed, like the town center was no longer on there. The trash truck, they did mention something about the trash truck takes 1 to 3 years to get one once you order it. So that's going to be a high priority item probably for next council to address. They also talked about the zoning text amendment for the BZA Article 17. It's basically for appeals and variances, and they set a hearing for January 9th on that. They also discussed their bylaws. The Colonial Beach Housing Authority also had a meeting last week, same day. Been busy with meetings. They mentioned a program to assist students in getting into apartments. Basically, what they mentioned is that it's getting a lot more difficult for younger folks to get into apartments, especially students, because of all, first month, last month rent, and all the other things that are included. So there's apparently a program for that now. Electronic recycling they mentioned. They mentioned that a builder, like an innovative builder that does things throughout the country, but is focused more around Northern Virginia. Has approached them asking about a potential project. I think maybe because they have that piece of land on 205. Basically, they typically employ students to do innovative housing, such as no electricity, off the grid kind of stuff, self-sufficient sewer, water, things like that. They also mentioned veterans direct care, and there's funds available for that, and VA housing funds available. They said the town would need to apply for that, so something for Natasha to put on her radar. Possibly discuss with them. Their next meeting is the 2nd Thursday of January. And then finally, last night, the Board of Zoning Appeals had a meeting. And probably a lot of people remember the controversy of the small houses being built on 9th Street. Well, during that process, it was found out that the builder Heritage Homes had cut down 10 trees on those 2 lots and basically cut the tops off, maybe 20 feet tall now. And maybe it was say a 40-foot tree and then you chopped it off at 20 or whatever. So the town had fined them $1,000 for each tree, so we're talking $10,000. And the builder didn't feel that was right, so they appealed it and went before the Board of Zoning Appeals. They heard the case last night, it got a bit heated. The main issue was the topping of the trees and whether that met the definition that's in our ordinance of removing or cutting down a tree. Because they're trying to say that they're still viable trees when the tops of them are cut off and there's no branches left and that they can live. A couple of arborists even spoke on the matter. But in the end, the Board of Zoning Appeals voted 5-0 to uphold the town's zoning determination. Basically saying that if you top off a tree in town, you can be fined $1,000. And so this is a case here where it's happening, just for the public to know, because you see a lot of trees in town that are topped off. I mean, they're all over the place. And a lot of constituents have reached out to me asking if that's legal or legitimate. And so now we have a case to back that up. And just like to say, thanks to Karen, Krista and Vicky for their service. I know we haven't always agreed 100% of the time, but I know that it's a lot of work serving and, you know, you get a lot of grief. So I just want to say I appreciate all your efforts and working with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Robertson, would you like to give your report, please?
My report is exactly the same thing that I did 2 weeks ago. Can't hear you. It's gone. It's the first time anybody's ever said that.
Last time.
The last time. All right, let's try this again. My report included, last meeting included everything with Parks and Recs and things that were going on in town up to February. So you can see that on town's site if you want to see what's going on. Okay. I too am melancholy about giving up this seat. Between the school board and council, I have no regrets on being on those. I have really enjoyed representing you, talking to you, having coffee with you. Walking around, I'll be really like when we do our little walks and get to see and talk with each other. And I just have to grandbaby it now, so that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For my report for finance, as reported in the last meeting, the real estate tax was due on December the 5th. The penalties and interest applied on December the 6th. So if you have not made those payments, please do so you do not incur any more of those penalties or fees. Along with that, the third quarter for FY25 water, sewer, garbage bills will be are due on January 1st of 2025. That's all I have for that. I will also like to say a few words for these ladies. It's been a pleasure for me to work with each of you throughout the time that I've been on council. Ms. Robertson, I've known you for my whole life, so that's kind of a little different. But Krista, it's been great getting to know you, your passion for the police department and protecting and serving and safety has been noticed by everyone, and we really appreciate that. Dr. Sullivan, it's been wonderful working with you as well. A lot of great knowledge. You bring a lot of information. You helped me out a lot at the very beginning, kind of shoving me a little bit, letting me know we're to talk, we're not to talk kind of things.
I mean, it's me.
So it's a little overwhelming once you get up here and not really knowing what exactly you're doing at first. So it's always helpful to have those people that can guide you. And we look forward to the additional candidates that will be on here after January. So that's about all I gotta say about that. We'll move on because we're gonna have a lot of people talking this evening. Next up will be the town manager update.
Good evening. My town manager update wholly consists of updates from Imboden, but before I turn things over to Imboden, I would just like to say to the outgoing council members, first, Dr. Karen and Vicky, it has been an absolute honor for me to have met the both of you and to have worked with the both of you. It's not very often that you meet people with a true service heart, and the two of you really exemplify what it means to really be civic leaders, and the love and joy that you all have for this community is truly, truly contagious. Vicky, I love your story that you told me of why you fell in love with Colonial Beach and why you remained all these years. And Dr. Karen, just the history that you have shared with me about Colonial Beach and your upbringing. I really enjoyed our conversation, so it has been just an honor for me to have worked with you all during this term. And Krista, you were the newest addition to council, and you just brought a difference of opinion and point of view to council that was very refreshing, and something that I think the town really benefited from. I too enjoyed getting to know you and working with you during your tenure. So I wish you, the three of you, the best of luck. And I know that we will cross paths in town. Now in Bowdoin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear me? I'd like to start off. I'd also like to, thank the outgoing council members for your support. There's been a lot of things accomplished, in the past almost year now with the utilities wastewater plant. Without your support, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did. So we appreciate that. So I'm gonna get into our report. I'm gonna make it quick as well. Got a lot of comments tonight. There's not a whole lot to report for November. We were in compliance with our permit limits, everything except for the nitrites. But as you see here, our flows, during this time of year are pretty low. Scroll that down just a little bit. If you look at the graph there, March obviously being the highest flow, but November, October, September, this time of year, without a lot of your guests and tourists, the flow starts going down. So we're hoping that it's going to kind of remain there. It is causing some issues as far as proper food and things for the plant, but we'll get through that. So we definitely like to see some more flow. That's a mighty big facility over there for such a little bit of flow. Next page, please. Effluent quality. This is showing you your sample results that we report every month. Everything did meet the permit limits at the end. Go ahead and scroll on down. That shows your ammonia. That also met for November. Go ahead and go down. Intercocci, that's your disinfection. That's to see how much bacteria and such that we're sending to the bay. So everything there is always good. Keep on going. Yeah, this is obviously your nitrates and your phosphorus. Phosphorus we don't have an issue with, but the nitrates we're still trying to achieve proper denitrification. One thing that has happened is we got the mixer motors out of the Anox tanks. They are scheduled to be put back in January. They're being repaired currently. Once we get those back in there, they've also got approval to proceed with the denitrification sand filters. So after those repairs are performed, we expect to start seeing this nitrogen start coming back down. So we're well on our way to a solution there. Go ahead and scroll down. Go ahead and go down. Yeah, there you go. Operational notes, the wet testing, this you have to do every year. it has been collected and turned in. Everything passed there, so everything looks good. You know, November was a good month. Everything, you can see that there were some things repaired there. There's always repairs happening now. I think we won't make it through any month that we haven't replaced or fixed something over there. It's kind of a daily thing now. Fix 2 things, 1 thing breaks. So we're keeping up with it pretty well. But does anybody have any questions for November?
Mr. Wade?
Yeah, just a quick question. The fines that we had, I think was 23, 24. One was waived, the other's payment plan. What is things looking like for 25?
For 25, we're not gonna be in compliance for nitrates, you know, and we've already discussed that with DEQ. And they have already set up a meeting for us to get back to the table for that. And when we get to that meeting, we'll discuss with them what our problems are and our action plan. We're most likely to waive those penalties for 25 as well. So the key to this is communication with DEQ, and they must see action. If I go to the table and tell them that we're violating, but we're not doing anything about it, they're gonna hit you pretty hard. So the good thing is every time we have a discussion with them about any of our violations, we have an action plan to back it up with what we're gonna do about it. And that's how we've been able to get through with, you know, DEQ kind of watching what we're doing. But if we don't continue with progress, they're gonna let us know about it real fast.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Josh, do you have anything else other than that?
No.
All right. Next month, we'll move to presentations, license plate readers by Flock Safety.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be presenting on that, and then we should have a representative of Flock Safety. It's going to be joining us online. Is he on there? Okay, great. All right, in 2022, the prior PD and town administration used grant funds to enter into a contract with Flock Safety to obtain 4 fixed location automated license plate readers. And what an automated license plate reader is it utilizes technology to capture and store digital license plate data. We call them ALPRs. The ALPR data is used solely for law enforcement purposes, such as to identify stolen or wanted vehicles, stolen license plates, vehicles involved in missing or endangered persons, such as amber or silver alerts, homeland security concerns, stolen property recovery, and suspect interdiction. This technology is employed by over 130 law enforcement agencies in the Commonwealth, including Westmoreland County and King George County. I have spoken to representatives of both King George and Westmoreland, and they have been very, very positive in the results they've received in their investigations using data. In fact, Westmoreland advised that ALPR data was instrumental in solving a recent homicide case, which the Westmoreland County was involved in. ALPR data would be extremely helpful to our cases here in the beach. I can think of the June 9th homicide case. The information that we could have gleaned from ALPR data would have been instrumental in that case. In addition, if you all remember, we had a series of golf cart thefts where there was a number of golf cart thefts that were taken from various locations in the beach. We actually had the video of the vehicle drive because they used a flatbed to haul the golf carts out of the area, and we had a video of the vehicle going up and down Colonial Ave with the golf carts. And if we had LPR data, we would have been able to determine what vehicle was involved and move the investigation forward from there. I can think of a number of other investigations that we've been involved in that this information would be extremely helpful. In sum, the ALPR data would be of great assistance to us in criminal investigations and will enhance our public safety here in Colonial Beach. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Jonathan Paz from Flock Safety.
Thank you so much, Chief. Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Jonathan Foss. I'm here with Flock Safety. I'm recovering from a cold, so if you hear me cough or anything, I just promise I'm okay. So our mission is to shape a safer future together. We were founded back in 2017 when our CEO was actually the victim of property crime himself. There was a series of car break-ins in his neighborhood, and he thought a doorbell camera, having some recording would be able to be enough evidence to help apprehend the suspect. He brought that over to his local police department, and they told him this is not enough. We need the license plate. So he did a little bit of research and found out that license plate reading technology has been around for over 30 years. It's just very expensive. So he developed a prototype, actually using an iPhone at the time, and that is now the best in class in the industry, and doesn't break the bank. We are now helping solve crime over 12% of the 12% of crime over the country in over 5,000 communities. And really, this technology is helping answer this paradox where police are asked to do more with less. It's harder to recruit, and it's also retention of officers is going down. So this becomes a real force multiplier as we're providing a collaborative technology platform, enabling you not only to have a proactive approach to solving crime, but also you're able to do it more efficiently. So we have a whole suite of solutions here, policing platform, but we're talking about the Falcon camera. The way this works, if you drive by one of these cameras that's in a fixed location, it just takes a snapshot of the back of a car, and it takes stock of two things. Number one, right, the license plate, and number two, the vehicular fingerprint. The vehicular fingerprint's really like taking stock of, like, let's say the color of the car, the make, if it has a bike rack. That information is important, right? Because when there's some incident, folks don't necessarily memorize the license plate, but they may be able to share a description, and that description alone is very important to be able to have a real tangible lead. So this data is connected with the National Crime Information Center. So you will get alerts, let's say if there's someone with a felony warrant, someone with a stolen vehicle, if there's missing people coming into your jurisdiction, you get those alerts proactively. And it's infrastructure free, so we don't have to put down a pole. It's solar powered, and you get 24/7 coverage. This is what it looks like to get a real-time alert. This car is associated with a catalytic converter theft. So this is an alert going to someone's iPhone or pad. This is what it looks like to search through the system. And really, we built this technology with privacy in mind. All the data is yours. We just help store it in an AWS government cloud. The data is deleted after 30 days. So if any data there that's not associated with a criminal investigation will be deleted. This is not connected to anyone's personal data. And we're not connected to any third-party database. So if the DMV gets hacked, we're not getting hacked. Security is paramount, and all the data is stored in end-to-end encrypted. And there are accountability mechanisms built in, so you can't just go into the system and peruse through. You actually have to add a search reason and a case number, and all of the searches are part of an indefinitely available audit trail. The goal is, right, our technologies to reduce bias in crime solving by enhancing objectivity. And we go a step above and beyond. We also provide a transparency portal. So folks in the public, you can actually publicize your policy, what are the intended uses. And some agencies go above and beyond. And you can really show the return on investment if you so want. You could also show, hey, how many golf carts have we been able to retrieve this year, this quarter? We're able to provide that in real time. This is a safety as a service partner. So with the subscription of per camera per year, we are enabling you to have not only helping you in the permitting, but also the storage and the maintenance of the system. And we're routinely solving and preventing crime in Virginia. We're at over 130 law enforcement agencies. Here are some. We had a couple cases here. I don't want to be long-winded, and some of these are sensitive in nature. But in Emporia, on August 15th, officers responded to reports of shots fired. Officers on the scene determined that an armed robbery had occurred and reviewed LPR cameras and other footage from nearby businesses utilizing the Flock Gateway partnerships. And they identified a suspect vehicle, and after further investigation, arrested two suspects who are charged with armed robbery. Different situation on August 2nd. Officers responded to reports of a stolen trailer. So they entered the victim's trailer's information into their to the license, the Flock system, and after further investigation, identified a suspect from North Carolina. So they arrested the suspect and returned the trailer to its rightful owner. Again, crime is regional; it doesn't respect boundaries. So this just goes to show again the power of our network. And in Fairfax, we were able to return a missing senior safely back home to their families. This person, of course, wasn't in a good state of mind, but they were able to thankfully retrieve them in time. And I don't end without sharing our first Amber Alert that we helped solved, probably in record speed. Back in 2020, a mom was walking down the street with her baby on a stroller when two individuals pulled out of a van and stole her baby, pointing a gun to her. So she calls 911, and Amber Alert's issued, and she just knew enough. She said it was a red Honda with a damaged back wheels. And that description alone was enough for the search to be successful, where they were able to locate the suspect. And we actually have such a strong, excuse me, such a strong network in Georgia, where we were founded, that the police were able to map out where these suspects they were fleeing the state. So they were able to map out where they were going to be heading towards, and mapped out a safe stop and arrest. And by 6 o'clock, the baby's reunited with their mom. This baby is no longer a baby; they're a toddler. And yeah, I share that story just to show the power of our network, the importance of being part of this network, the importance of working collaboratively. And now we've helped retrieve over 400 missing people. Probably more. So just, thank you for helping me present. I'm very happy to, help answer your questions if there's any.
I do have a question for the chief. Thank you, sir, by the way. Chief, you had mentioned that, you thought this would have been instrumental if we had had it, during that summer homicide.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us specifically what would have been helpful to have you solve the crime sooner?
Absolutely. And just to be clear, I want everybody to understand, we actually have this technology was purchased a while ago. So we actually have the technology at our station, just a matter of putting it up in the locations that we've selected. There is in fact one up in front of Atlantic Union, but it's not operational, but we don't get that information from that camera at this time. Okay. Specifically speaking to your question, sir, about the homicide. By other means, we were able to determine that a number of cars left the area shortly after the homicide. And we have video of the cars leaving. However, it's all the sides. You can't see, so you can identify, or you could see the vehicle, but you can't see a license plate. So it's very, as he indicated in his presentation, when you just have that, the basic description of the vehicle, it can be difficult to try to locate. There are other ways to go about it, but having this information, one would have been instrumental in putting the vehicle there, that vehicle there at the time. So, and I want kind of what he alluded to is that it's not necessarily a be all and end all. We use that information to verify it with other information that we have.
Okay, Chief, is this really a force multiplier for your group? Because obviously we have limited budgets here in town. So is this something that's going to make folks calling your beach safer and your cops more efficient and safer as well?
Absolutely, absolutely, because the information that these cameras can provide, I think would be instrumental in, not in every investigation, but I certainly think in anything that ends up on the roads. And I think with the safeguards in place, I understand the concerns. But with the safeguards in place, any Colonial Beach officer that tries to access this information, one, they have to go through training in order to do that, because this is confidential information. As he indicated, that all the information, unless it's being used specifically for a criminal investigation, is going to be purged after 30 days. And audits are regularly conducted to make sure that all the guidelines regarding the access, the usage, and the purging of it the guidelines are being met. So, yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Brown.
When the LPR, when it hits, does it also coincide with the owner if there's warrant information, or is it only just specific to the vehicle?
No, it'd just be to the vehicle.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Williams?
Yeah, what's the cost of this?
Well, as I indicated, we've already bought it. So the initial cost was $11,400. And the ongoing cost is $10,000 annually. And technically, it was a 2-year agreement, 48 months. It was a 2-year agreement. And we're in the second year of it because they haven't been put up. We've been working on that, but and we're hoping that we can move forward with that now.
So this is already in your budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It was through grant funds, sir.
okay. And so you're saying that unless something comes up, like somebody can't just go like, oh, I wonder who's been driving down the street or who's doing this. It has to be a very specific reason for them to get in there. And also want to know about the security, like, is this on the cloud somewhere? Like, can somebody nefarious get a hold of this like they do with our social security numbers and that stuff, or is this?
Well, okay, remember the one of the things, or actually, give me just.
I'm happy to help answer that.
Oh, go ahead.
Your data is secured in AWS cloud. That is a government cloud comparable to the FBI. We are SOC 2 compliant, and all of the data is encrypted. So your data is well secured. It's a major priority of ours. And just to reiterate the point, we only store data about cars. There's no personal data involved in that system.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I was just gonna finish up. There's no facial recognition. There's no, like you said, there's nothing tied to date of birth, socials, addresses, et cetera. It doesn't use for monitoring speed or red light or any kind of traffic. So it's very, very narrow in scope.
It takes a picture of the back of the car, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Dr. Salcedo?
So there's a crime committed down at Dockside, say, and it's called in. And then you all would go, there's a description of the car, maybe from Dockside or maybe not. But you could go in and pull the data for every car leaving town.
You know,
And see, I mean, how do we go from? If there's a car of interest because it somehow or the other you think it's connected with this crime, then you can go and look up that license plate number and pursue it like you would if somebody had just told you what the license plate was. Is that correct?
no, not necessarily. What I mean is we wouldn't just start looking at every car that came down there. My understanding, and I'll be candid with you, I haven't actually had the opportunity to use this technology. I just, I learned of it and learned about it. But you'd enter that information into the system and it would give you an alert if there was anything that matched. It wouldn't just be that we just scroll through and look at every car that went through there. So
I'm trying to figure out how this would help us. And so I see this car leaving Dockside. And I've got a description of the car, maybe a partial plate. Then
You can search it.
you could go in there and see if a car matching that description with that partial plate matching. And then you could find out through your other ways of who the car belonged to and track that person down.
correct, but
Okay.
it's just like anything, it is that, and that's why I was suggesting that you have to verify through other means, because you may loan somebody your car, so it may be your car, but not you driving.
Oh, believe me, I had a teenage son. I've been through that with them.
So I don't want anybody to think that we have some sort of knee-jerk reaction as soon as we get information about a particular vehicle. There's still investigation that needs to be done,
Right.
but it assists us greatly in being able to put that vehicle there. And at the time that this happened, and certainly gives us a chance to move forward in that investigation.
So what's been the delay? Because I think this was in your budget or it was with a grant or something a couple of years ago. What's been the delay in getting it up and running?
part of it was that I think until we came in and spoke to y'all and got your approval to put them up, that we were just making sure that we didn't put them up without everybody being advised exactly what we were doing and what those cameras were. When we put the one camera up at Atlantic Union, we almost immediately got phone calls about what that was. And again, we're gonna have to move the as long as we can move forward on this, which I'm hoping we can, we're going to move that camera back some. So it won't be right on McKinney, it'll be back more, back a little bit west of that location. But that was why like I said, just to be careful, just to make sure everybody was on board with it.
So do you need action from us
No.
as a council?
No, ma'am, no, this is
Okay,
more of an
so that-
informational.
Okay, all right.
So my understanding is we approve the grant funds to be used to purchase, which then means council will approve the putting up of the cameras.
Yes, sir.
Let's do that.
So now you're just telling us what it's gonna do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you. You guys be well.
We will move on. Looks like Mr. Trivett is not in attendance today. So we'll move to Colonial Beach Public Schools, Dr. Otto, Superintendent. Welcome, sir.
Where's your hat?
I had to do one on tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, good evening and thank you. First, I'd like to say my thanks to Ms. Becky Robinson and Dr. Sel Sullivan. We have been very gracious and we have been fortunate to have you guys serve and work with the school board and the school system. Your services, your dedication, and your support and love for our students is greatly appreciated. And we thank you so much for what you have done. And hopefully, as you leave the town council, it's not to say goodbye. You will stay engaged with us to improve and enhance the lives and experiences of our kids. Again, thank you so much. On behalf of the school board, I want to wish everyone happy holidays and blessings of good health. I want to touch on a few things that's happening in the school district. As I always say, every child deserves a champion. I want to I'll be remiss if I don't thank all of our staff for their hard work in teaching and learning. The work they do with our most prized commodity is working attaboy. Again, thank all of them for what they do, they're greatly appreciated. Please know that the school board members attended the annual BSBA conference at the end of last month, and it was a great learning experience for all of them. It's very seldom that you will have an entire school board members that will attend. Typically, they'll be missing one or two, and we were fortunate to have all 5 of ours attend, so it was wonderful to see that. And their learning from the conference hopefully will help to enhance and improve our school system. The school division continues to meet state mandates of implementing the Virginia Literacy Act to include teacher training, implementation of the new science and math standards upon us, and we are doing our best to meet those standards. The new school performance and support framework will be coming up for next year for accreditation accountability. We're keeping track of that and our student performances, so we meet those requirements. And then, of course, I hope most of you guys have heard the new no cell phone education. And we're happy to announce that we have been publicizing this for several weeks now. while I have the microphone, and I may have the attention of parents and students, I will read a little bit about what the policy entails. So we're hopefully on the same page. The cell phone free education goes into effect on January the 7th. And they will allow for a learning environment free of unnecessary distractions and disruptions. In addition, will improve student mental health and safety. The policy itself states during the regular school day, first bell to the dismissal bell, the use of cell phones and personal electronic communication devices is prohibited. It must be stored out of visible sight within the backpack and silenced or powered off. Our students are expected to use CBPS issued computers for all educational activities. They do have a technology device for their education. I just want to make that clear. We know this will be a difficult transition, but we're ready to make sure that our kids are receiving education as opposed to screen time, non-educational activities during the school day. Next, I want to highlight a few legislative priorities for the school division. I have been in communication with Delegate Puckett because we need to also have someone to advocate for our school division. We're not Fairfax County, we're not Prince William County. We're a small division and our challenges are different. Sometimes when the mandates and funding comes from the state, we are excluded. We are put in the mix. The big divisions are the ones that have the most voice. So my hope and my wish is to get us on the table and actually advocate for a small district like Colonial Beach. Let me read you a little bit of summarize what the priority indicates from the beginning. It says a brief overview of the priority states Colonial Beach Public Schools continue to experience difficulty competing for high quality teachers, inadequate facility and capital project funding, and pressure from unfunded mandates at both state and federal levels, placing us at a significant financial disadvantage with larger and more affluent school divisions. That was the start of the priorities, but the priorities indicates funding, recruitment and retention of staff, special education funding, and also any mandates that has been issued to us to meet. Unfortunately, we're small, but we still have to meet the same mandates as the bigger school divisions. And moving on in terms of capital improvement, we are still moving ahead in everything that we're doing. The generator hopefully will be completed. It's halfway through. All we're waiting for right now is the padding to the pad to be put down and actually for them to drop the generator. The electrical, everything else has been put in place. So we'll be good to go by the new year. Also, we have the HVAC system, the automation system to help enhance and improve our high school automation for the air conditioning and heating. I think I mentioned to you several months ago about the dollar amount that we have been saving since we changed the lights and also the HVAC system. So the automation system will actually enhance that also. The front entrance is progressing very well. I think we have done with schematics for the front entrance of the high school. We are very excited about that. To give you a little bit of a timetable for the front entrance, it will be going out for bids next month. And the start of demolition will be right after graduation. And hopefully will be finished by the end of December 2025. Let me see. You've probably heard of a transformer going out. And we're in the process with Dominion and some electricians to replace that transformer. Apparently, the transformer belonged to the division, and that is very unusual. So now they're working for someone to take that over. It's a little costly, but I think we're on a good track to get it done before baseball season. Finally, we are always looking for substitutes. We're looking for substitute bus drivers. We're looking for folks that will be able to work with kids, care about kids, and love kids. Let us know if you're interested so we can get you to complete an application to support the schools. Please come out and support our Scholastic team and basketball teams as they compete to represent Colonial Beach Public Schools. I will give a shout out. I hope my other coaches do not get upset at me. Girls basketball team is undefeated. They are playing some good basketball. Their next game is Friday. Please come out and support them. JV at 5:30, varsity at 7 o'clock. And that's the end of my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
Dr. Sutherland?
Thank you. Dr. Addo, could you, I tried to tell people about it, but I'm afraid I'm not getting the wording right. But the new program we have for fast tracking teacher accreditation for people that want to move from their current career into a teaching career.
Yes, I can. This is an alternative path for licensure to teach. Right now, we are revising our reimbursement policy to include what we call iTeach. It is a program that the Department of Education has approved for any teachers, anyone at all, anyone with a bachelor's degree who's willing to get into teaching will get into this program, and within 12 months to 18 months, they will have the licensure. As opposed to most of the time, you have to get into a college program that will take at least 2 years to 3 years to get licensure. So this is a fast track alternative path to get licensure. So if you have a bachelor and you're interested in teaching, get into the school system, we have an avenue for you. And I believe the school board is going to encumber most of the fees to make that happen. But we will require that individual to commit themselves to the district for at least 2 to 3 years in exchange to help them through with the funds. I think that's what we were talking about. Okay.
Wait,
I did have a question about that. So once they get their licensure through that iTeach program, it's the same as any other license, like the program basically gets them the same licenses if they went to college.
Not exactly. It is strictly for licensure in Virginia, but the iTeach program also has, I guess, MOU with other states. So if you have that MOU with other, I think there's probably about maybe 25, 27 states. Those states will accept the licensure that you get from Virginia. But it's not for a college or credit, or you cannot use that as a springboard to get your master's, if that makes sense. I think they are working on offering 12 college credits if you go through the program to be accepted by one of the colleges. They're working on that, so you can actually earn 12 credits.
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to move to public comment. Please note that we have a public hearing on ordinance number 764 with the definitions for the maritime resort. So if you have comments about that specific thing, You can hold those comments till then, otherwise we'll start with the public comment.
You signed up in person and then 2 emails. The first is Lauren Adams.
So Lauren, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
My comment was for the other thing, so I'll hold my.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Knuckles.
Mr. Knuckles, same thing, 5 minutes. State your name and your address.
Will Knuckles, 204 Monroe Bay Avenue here in Pleasant Beach. A few comments on some things from the presentations earlier today, as it relates to the treatment plant and the fact that we're still not meeting all the standards. I think that we need to think not just about what are we doing to sort of avoid getting dinged financially? Like, does the state sort of like allow us to continue to underperform? We should really be thinking about the broader policy goal of like why we're doing this in the first place. So while we have a permit that says like you're only allowed to do the following, this is a source point, right? Something comes out of a pipe and you're only allowed to put certain things under certain conditions out of the pipe. The bigger goal is really fishable, swimmable, clean water that we actually have here in the broader sense. So along that goal, rather than thinking like, hey, what if the state gives us another pass for next year for underperforming, we should be thinking about like how the world actually works. And in that sense, we're sort of in an estuary here, and that flips as to whether or not this matters depending what time of the year we're on. At the moment, we get a pass, right? Because nitrogen going into the water, the critters that are out there have, it's not a limiting thing, right? It's not that adding more is actually going to change the world dramatically. That'll flip come summertime. So really, if you're thinking about performance goals as to when you're trying to get things to work, you should be thinking about when you're trying to avoid the harm that happens from the system not working as the permit is asking you to do it. So really our goal ought to be, we ought to be in compliance, we ought to be meeting the standards by summertime. Whether the state wants to give us a pass or not, really that ought to be our goal, because we live here and we want, clean water that we can play and recreate and eat the stuff out of, right? I think to me, that's really the bigger picture goal, rather than just to look at it solely as a permit obligation. Next piece is on the license cameras, also have a footprint in National Harbor, Maryland. We're looking to have a place there too. License plate readers are common there. They've had them for years. They do work. They're highly effective. One thing I just want to give you a cautionary note on is they're very effective. You'll get pinged a lot because there are lots of people that are doing things that actually relate to violations. So one of the things I hope that you think about, which is when you have this system and you're resulting like, oh my gosh, look at all the things that are happening that the system kicks out. Because a lot of these are flags that will come from other jurisdictions, is how are we going to shoulder the burden of the manpower it takes to sort of chase that down? I'm hoping that we can work in collaboration with the county on this to share the pain a little bit of needing to sort of chase the things that you now know about, because there is sort of an implication to more information about more bad things happening. That has to be staffed at some point, or we need to be making some policy decisions about what things we're not going to pursue. So just a cautionary note about that, but they do work and they're actually quite effective. And I'm glad to see that that system is actually going to be online. Next thing is on resilience reports. There was an earlier version of what we're going to do tonight where the resilience reports or the current version of the draft is going to be there for the town council to take a look at where it stands at the moment. That's been pushed off to the future. I'd like to remind y'all that was the original version of this was supposed to be wrapped up more than a year ago, more than twice as long as the original contract to the vendor when they said they would deliver this. So, one, I'm hoping we can inspire them to put a lot more resources into this rather than the fairly small crew they have working on it now because they're running so late. Or the other alternative is to say like, hey, does the town get some of its money back that they said that they would do sort of like service for this amount of money? Like, what do we get back for the fact that this is so really, really late compared to what the original contract terms were? The last issue is sort of the format of things. It is wonderful to have our town police here and to have our school board here. There was a time when other parts of town would come and make presentations. The planning commission chair used to come and sort of say what was up with planning. We'd have other parts of the town sort of various pieces sort of come as reports. The last time I saw that coming out of the planning commission is when sort of the not the current chair, but a prior leader got grumped at over some controversy that was happening. And since then, they don't really have a direct voice. I think that it's much more efficient rather than this sort of liaison model to just have those entities, whether it's planning commission, BZA, Parks and Rec, all those different things. Just say, hey, come report out directly to us, you get 2 minutes, make it quick and easy, but to put the burden on those reporting pieces. On those entities like has happened previously, I think it would be a lot more efficient, and I think the public would like to hear directly from those entities. As to what they're up to, because most people don't have time to run around to each of these separate. So, thank you, I'll talk to you again when we get to the next topic.
Thank you, sir.
I have the 2 emailed comments. The first one is from Miss Kelly Woods Vaughn. She writes, my name is Kelly Woods Vaughn and my address is 2 Kettle Bottom Drive. She's also the owner of Riverview Inn at 24 Street. She's the co-chair of the Economic Development Committee and president of the Women's Business Network. On behalf of the Economic Development Committee and Women's Business Network, I want to personally thank the outgoing Colonial Beach Town Council members, Ms. Krista Brown, Ms. Vicki Robinson, and Ms. Karen Sullivan for all of their contributions while serving as town council members. Their insight, experience, time, selflessness, history of the town, and energy has brought so much to the community. I've enjoyed working with you, so thank you. To the incoming council, Colonial Beach Town Council, I want to say welcome, Ms. Lisa Grandstaff, Mr. Tom Larson, and Ms. Maggie Lane Sanford. I look forward to working with you as we continue to bring the best to our community. Wishing you all the merriest of the holidays and Happy New Year. Warmest regards, Ms. Kelly Woods Vaughn. The second one is from Mr. Kelly. He says, Dear Mayor Schick and council members, 2025 CIP, please help our residents understand that on January 9th, 2025, the Planning Commission will have a public hearing on the 2025 CIP. This is an important process, a document that goes below the local news radar until it hits the council agenda. I reviewed the draft CIP and it's a substantial improvement over the 2024 worksheet. However, it continues to raise multiple questions and concerns. Here are a few thoughts to get the ball rolling. 1, post the 2024 and the draft 2025 CIP on the town's website. 2, delete the 2022 CIP currently available on the website or add the 2023 CIP document comparison. And then 2024 audit, can you please confirm when the audit report for the year ended June 30th, 2024 will be available for public review? Can you please upload the 2023 audit to the town's website as well? Thanks for your consideration of my comments. Just to let you know, I did upload the 2023 audit today when I saw his comment, so I did not know I did not put it up there. And I also uploaded the most recently passed CIP to the website. And that's it for public comments.
All right, so we will, I was supposed to open and close public comment, wasn't I?
No,
No.
just when you do the public hearing, it's gonna give it time.
All right, so I apologize, I might take a quick recess for like 5 minutes. I gotta use the bathroom. I know there's a lot of people that's gonna talk during this, so I wanna make sure that I'm paying attention to everybody's comment and maybe hit an inhaler or something. All right.
maritime resort use, there would be two things that would need to happen in town today. Under your current ordinance. Number one, the property would have to be rezoned maritime commercial because there are no properties currently zoned maritime commercial in town. Secondly, in order to have a maritime use on a property, approval of a conditional use permit is required. Both of these zoning approvals would involve public hearings before the planning commission and council. So I wanted to make that clear. The definition tonight would not grant the permission.